All right, next up, this introduction is a little bit different. We're going to start with our photos. I went online and was doing a little Googling around on Ruby Newell Legner, fan experience expert of 7-Star. So here's what I found. When it comes to Ruby, the first two things that you notice, one is her glasses, which she's inspired me to become more fashionable with the whole eyewear thing. The second is you'll notice her hair. And if Ruby's not excited, you can tell her hair is excited to be here. It's always fired up. And so the third thing that you notice with Ruby is her hands. She is definitely one of these people, I'm judging by the pictures, that if you took away her hands, there'd be no talking. And it just gets bigger and wider, and it's just even more spectacular. The last thing that I observed about Ruby is, from a fashion sense, not all of her fashion eyewear trends have caught on. She was always, Ruby told me she was always a mature child. She said her favorite popsicle flavor was Cabernet. So let me begin with a few questions. Have you ever lost sleep wondering how your employees are representing your company? Do you wish you could wave a magic wand and make every customer interaction go perfectly? Are you ready to learn how to turn every customer into a fan? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you're going to be glad you are here. If not, you may be in serious denial.
Please.
It's up. Ruby has presented more than 2,500 programs in 23 countries. She just completed a year of service as president of the National Speakers Association, where she traveled to 12 countries representing the United States. Her experience creating the ultimate fan experience is why she was chosen to train all the guest relations staff for the 2003 Grand Prix of Denver, the 2007 Super Bowl, the 2008 U.S. Open, the 2010 Olympics, and the 2006 and 2013 Grey Cup. Ruby's clients range from Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, the world's largest amusement park in the world, to the Burj Al Arab in Dubai, the 7-star hotel her company is named after. And also includes 29 professional sports teams in the National Hockey League, National Football League, National Basketball Association, and the Canadian Football League. Please join me in welcoming speaker, trainer, and the newest fan club president of CADA, certified speaking professional, Ruby Newell Legner.
Thank you, sir.
Knock him dead, girl.
Okay. I've never in my life wished for a cloud. How many of you would like a cloud? If you'd like to move, I don't mind at all. I want to make sure that you're comfortable. We only have 4 hours of program to go through, so bear with me. Just kidding. I want to get started, and I want to talk a little bit about the glasses that you choose to look through. And I would like to ask you to consider maybe a different kind of glasses. My gift to you today is to look at things in another perspective. And that perspective will help you take information back. How many of you have some staff at home that might need some training? Just checking out, because I hope that you will take this information back and share it with them, because it's going to make a huge difference in your organization. When you think about each one of the elements, I want you to really read this very carefully. It's the disclaimer that I'm going to share with you today, and I want to make sure that you can read it. And even if you could read it, you can't read it, so it's okay. Because in between the lines are some examples. I'm not going to talk about car dealerships today. I'm going to talk about sports. Anybody sports fans out there? Good, I got a couple of them. And I'm going to give you some examples that are a little different. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about Ferrari World, maybe we'll talk about the different groups that I work with, but they've taught me valuable lessons that go across the board in creating 7-star service. So when you think about how you're going to do that back in your organization, I want to make sure you have the tools. So you've got a couple different things here. You've got a nice little handout here. You might recognize the Burj on it. It's to fill in the blanks. Yes, I'm a very interactive trainer. So we'll do that, and we're going to take a little journey as we go through. So the Burj Al Arab is the only 7-star hotel in the world, and it's, raise your hand if you've seen it before. Anybody? Okay, good. Got a couple of you in the audience. And it's an amazing feat. I actually took a year to build the island that the Burj sits on. It's in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and I thought we would take you there today. But before we go, I have an assignment for you. As I walk you through the experience of staying at the 7-star hotel, I want you to think about what it is that applies to your business and what you can learn from Jumeirah Group, who owns the 7-star hotel, and what you can do to make a difference back home. Are you with me? Are you packed? Do you have a passport with you? You ready to go? Okay, I can tell you the enthusiasm is overwhelming. Here we go. We're going to take a nice trip. It's going to go all the way across over to the Persian Gulf. First time I went there, I thought it was going to be kind of scary. I was really nervous. And it was the most amazing experience. Friendly people, kind people, really hospitality oriented. Sheikh Mo decided that he was going to build a hotel that was going to welcome the world. And he wanted to have the leisure capital of the world. Now, I'm not being disrespectful in calling him Sheikh Mo. His name is Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. I practiced. Then I get over there and find out they call him Sheikh Mo. Could have used that memo. Ready? Here we go. First stop is they pick me up in a nice car. Wow, look at that. It's another nice little picture here. They picked me up in a Bentley. Wasn't a bad ride. First time I'd ever been in one. I was really experienced. I'm from Canyon City. I grew up in a really small town, and I thought, it was exciting to have electricity. Oh, rough afternoon already. I can feel it right here. So when they picked me up in this car, and the gentleman who was standing out beside it was amazing. He gave me some orchids and roses, and then they scooted me in the car, and he shut the door, and he came around the front, and he handed me this leather pouch. I opened the leather pouch, and inside the leather pouch, there was a bunch of CDs, and I thought, well, that's interesting. He says, please choose the song that you would like to listen to. That's pretty cool. I opened it up, and they knew I was from America because they'd done their homework on me, and they knew that I might have some certain songs I wanted to listen to on the ride from the airport over to the hotel. They had already customized my experience by doing a lot of the things that we've heard about today. Next stop, inside the hotel, you look up, and it's like, wow, it's amazing. And, well, I was with my friend Pam. And my friend Pam, does anybody travel with someone who keeps them out of trouble? You might have needed them last night, yes. Well, Pam's my buddy that travels with me, and every once in a while, she does such a great job, but she kept telling me the whole time, Ruby, don't embarrass us. I'm like, me? Would I? Yes, I would. So she said, down. I walked in, I'm like, I had to be really careful not to embarrass her. But it was phenomenal. The view was fantastic. And as we went through, then there's a fountain that is in the middle of the hotel, and it goes down this little hole. It's like this big. It's the tallest fountain in the world and the tallest atrium in the world. The water goes up, and it comes back down, and it goes back down that hole. It doesn't splash. How did they do that? They have had amazing things that they've done to really impress you. I just kept saying, do it again, do it again. It's pretty awesome. Then the next stop was our room. Well, but not quite. They sit us down on the couch. They don't take you to a counter or anything. They put you on the couch and they come to you. So after they get over there, they give you a nice washcloth, and then they serve you dates. I don't even like dates, but I had one because that's part of the deal, right? And then they give you another washcloth, and a lady walks over, and she's got this very ornate, it looks like a little pot of coffee, and she starts to pour it in my hand. And I said, I don't have any cup. And she says, it's okay. It's rose water for your hands. Of course it is. Yeah. I get that all the time. Once again, they thought of every step along the way, and they made sure I was comfortable. These are the 3 trainers that I travel with. That's Pam and Marianne and Tom. And what was fun for me is we went in and had high tea. Any high tea lovers here? I don't get it. I want to get it. I don't get it. A cup and saucer, what's the point? you know? And I don't even know which little finger to hold up. And I'm more of that turbo mug of coffee that you can have like 3 or 4 cups in. That's my style. So I was out of my element. I didn't know what to do. And those little sandwiches, that's like a bite for me. It didn't make sense to me. But I didn't want to embarrass my friend Pam, so I was really nervous. But luckily, I was there with a friend too. See, the room comes with your own butler. Which, yeah, I'm so used to. Yeah, no, I wasn't. And he taught me what I needed to do, and he helped me know the things I didn't know so I wasn't embarrassed. Are you thinking about some things that maybe your dealership can do for some of your clients that can make a big difference too? Next thing we go through, and I'm walking next door to the water park. Now, I know it's kind of hard to see this, but what can you see this group doing? Anybody see? They're on trash duty, and they're happy. They're excited to be there. They love their job. If I were to walk through your business, your dealership, and I looked at all the staff, would they be, yay, I get to do the trash? Maybe not. You see, it's the culture that you create every single day that makes the employees happy. Raise your hand if you've ever had a boss you didn't like. Don't point to them if they're in the room. That's awkward. But we've all had those moments, and hopefully we're not there anymore, but there's somebody back home saying the same thing about you, just reminding you. Maybe not, hopefully not. But it's food for thought as you go through this process. The next point I want to make is the Ruby point. Now, I do a lot of training, and if you go to any sporting event and you see this gesture with all the fingers and the thumb all pointing in the same direction, I have done their training. It's called the Ruby point, and it's a great way to show direction. And I know some of you have been looking for that gesture for a while. That gesture is really important because I was doing some training over in Italy, and I had, 400 people in the audience and 80 non-English speaking Italians, and I started doing my program, and interpreters were trying to keep up with me, and I taught what I thought was a cool thing. It's called a Disney point. They all laughed at me. Apparently that's not what it means in Italy, so I created the Ruby point. All the fingers are involved. It's very equal opportunity, making sure that everybody knows the polite way in every country. So, making sure that it looks always like this. Now, I went pretty fast in this, but I bet you may have thought about your business and some things that you can do to really enhance the experience. So tell me, who thought of one? Who has one that, I have rewards. If they're not melted, I do have chocolates up here. Oh, they're kind of warm, it could be scary. Who has one idea they came up with? Yes, sir. Absolutely. So making sure that they're feeling well welcome and making sure you're... Tim, would you be my CDO? Candy distribution officer there. I like that. One more. Who else had one that they thought of? Commonly, it's talked about how important it is to really customize the experience. If you're selling the same thing to everyone. I brought my brother-in-law with me to when I bought my last car, and the guy never asked me a question. Nothing. But he talked car to my son-in-law the entire time. I wanted to, the things that were important to me, guess what they were? Anybody know what was important to me? How I looked in it. That was important to me. How many cup holders are there? Okay? These are important things to me. I also travel for a living, so the trunk and the size of the back end and how easy it was to get a suitcase in and out, that was the most important thing too, but he never asked. Interesting concept. If you're really customizing the experience, what steps are you taking to make sure that they get it? So with all of this involved, what I wanted to do today is walk through 7 steps. And I know they're going to be fast. I don't have time to give great detail about them, but I want to make sure you leave here with 7 pieces of information. And I'm going to have you evaluate yourself. So if you look at your handout, right beside each one of the points, there is a little line. And I'm going to have you think about your business back in your organization, and I'm going to ask you to rate yourself. Give yourself a 0 if you hadn't even thought about that, or it's not something that you're currently doing, or if you're thinking about it or you're working on it, give yourself a 1. And if you are on it and really doing well, give yourself a score of 2. We'll do this after each one of these as we walk through this process. The handout is very simple for you. It's got all the information there for you, so you can do that on your own. So here we go, star number 1. It's one of my favorites because it's such a big picture. And we've heard, David Kane mentioned it yesterday, how important that information is about the vision, that creating and offering that vision. And it's not just about writing it down and putting it on the wall, it's about sharing it. I interviewed to do some training for the Orlando Magic, and I remember 7 o'clock in the morning sitting across the desk from Alex Martins, the CEO, and I went, oh, this is, kind of daunting, in his office. And he says, Ruby, you have to understand one thing. You have to understand what we're all about, and if you get that and you can train to that, then you're magic. Okay. He says, we create legendary experiences on and off the court. I kind of like that vision. He said, everything we do is all around that. Every staff member knows what it is. Every activity, every event is focused on creating a legendary moment, even in the community, off of the court. So think about what you're doing. What is your vision? I want to know how well you're doing on it. You see, I love this favorite quote from St. Exupery. He says, basically you need to really think about who you're hiring and what roles you're going to put them in. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather the wood, drive the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. Interesting. Get somebody who loves what they do, and that you can teach them anything. But it's hard to teach someone who doesn't like their job, doesn't like their profession. So think about that as you evaluate yourself on number 1. Do you offer a clear vision? Do the people that you work with every single day, no matter what role you have, are you aware of the vision, and are you working towards it every single day? We'll move on to number 2 now. Number 2, making sure. Wow. Do you understand your customers? We do a lot of research, we try to figure them out, but let's look at a different piece of information that's out there. As a matter of fact, I took some liberties and I looked this up. I was curious what Yelp would say about most of you. So would it be okay if I pull up some of your examples on Yelp and the customer satisfaction ratings that people have given you? Would that be, is anybody nervous? There's good and bad about everyone. It was interesting. The first one that I found says, I just did a search for a car dealership in Denver area, Colorado area, and I read such positive and warm words about this organization. And they gave a 5-star rating. This was just a couple of days ago. And they tell me what's important. At the same time, just a few months earlier, there's another rating, same organization, and it had 1 star. Every single day when you go in there, you learn what your customers are thinking and saying, and it's instant. They tweet something out and, man, we can't pull that stuff back. If you know what your customers want, you can better serve them and understand how to get better at your role. So go ahead and give yourself a score on that. How you doing on understanding your customers? Are you selling? Are you making sure that everybody has something different to meet their needs, or is it one piece? Moving right along into question or star number 3. Here we go. You already heard an example of it. I love this example, and they did such a great job. I'm going to give them a shout out. This is brilliant. This is what I'm going to teach you, only I'm going to teach you a little differently. But they laid this out for you. TrueCar did a great job of creating the experience from the beginning to the end and highlighting the steps a customer goes through. I love that. Now, what we need to do is think about some other examples. So I'm going to go on a little bit different journey, and I'm going to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Is that okay? Any hockey fans in here? Got 2, 3. That was good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tampa Bay Lightning. I worked with them when Mr. Vinnick bought the team about 3 or 4 years ago, and we had an amazing experience. We'd taken them with 4,000 season ticket members all the way up to 11,000 season ticket members. And in the middle of all that, Mr. Vinnick decided, I'm tired of coming to a game and looking out over the arena and seeing people in all different colored jerseys. They weren't even wearing the team colors. He wanted to put them in blue. So he says, you know what? We're going to invite them all to get new jerseys. I'm going to buy each and every one of them a brand new jersey. So they sent out a custom email to all the season ticket members. They gave them a specific time to come, and imagine distributing all those jerseys. Oh, but they weren't just jerseys. These were custom jerseys. They had to have a special name on them. You got to choose your size. You also had the opportunity to have a chip put in it. Well, actually it came with the chip, and that chip was a RFID chip that they could go up to the concession stand, or they could go up to any of the merchandise and just wave their arm, and it would automatically get charged to their account. Pretty cool, huh? But it was quite the intense process. So I'm going to walk you through it. And as I walk you through it, I want you to think about, what would it take for you to create this detail of service in every single step a customer takes? First of all, the building was shut down. It was under renovation, so they had to go over to the hotel next door, and they made sure that somebody picked them up in a golf cart in the parking lot, told them where to park. They got in the golf cart, and there's a little chit-chat all the way into the hotel. And at the hotel, the handoff from the guy who was driving the golf cart to the person who greeted them at the door included information that they had gleaned on the little trip. 10,000 times they did this. And one of the questions was, who's your favorite player? How long have you been a season ticket holder? Except Mr. Vinnick wanted to call them season ticket members instead, because he wanted to create that cheers environment that everybody's there together as a family. So all those questions were answered. They got to the door, they were greeted, they went in to sign up their paperwork. The next step was trying on a jersey, because we want to make sure you got the right fit, right? Well, I don't know how they did this, but I was a medium. I've never been a medium in my whole life. It was so cool. I think it was all a ploy, but I'm going with it, right? I got my custom jersey. Oh, it felt so good. It was so cool. That was the jersey that had the chip in it that was going to go to my account. And then we had to go over to the next desk, because that chip needed to be activated to my account. Took a little process, little paperwork and computerization there, and the next step was the customization. We could choose what number we wanted, what name we wanted on it. We could put the captain's logo on it, and all of these steps all the way through were very succinct. Now, it took a lot of planning. Imagine trying to even house 10,000 jerseys, and then imagine what it would be like to have staff work 3 weeks in order to get them customized and distributed, right? Lots of steps involved, including a back room where the staff could go and have a break. They could have food served there. All the details were there. And then, of course, the last step of it was they partnered with a dry cleaning company. And the dry cleaning company said, we will bring the plastic bags to put over the jersey. They had custom hangers made with STM on it. And then the coupon went on there from the dry cleaner that said, this is how you wash your jersey. And because it was so many things involved, there was a place for the kids to play over here during the event. There was a place over here, if they had to wait, they could watch a video about the chip and how it worked and how they could care for their jersey. They thought of everything. Refreshments were available as well. The attention to detail, everything was there. My favorite night was the night after all the jerseys were distributed. This was opening night, and Mr. Vinnick looked over the team and looked over the arena in a sea of blue. It was accomplished, but it was more than giving them a jersey. We created a fan experience. What are you doing for your customers to turn them into fans? What steps are you taking to make sure all those details are there and it's an exciting journey along the way? One of the steps I took them through before we did this was just very simple. We outlined the cycle of service, the steps in the cycle from the customer's perspective, not from the employee's perspective. And then we created standards for it. Every single department, every single operation. And what happened here was so cool because they now had a hiring tool. They had a training tool. They had an evaluation, a promotion tool. And if somebody was going by all those standards, then they deserve to have recognition for it. How are you doing on that? Are you identifying all the elements that it takes and making sure that everybody along the way has those elements covered and really precise? That's the key. Go ahead and give yourself a score on that one. Going on into number 4. This is a tough one to talk about in such a short period of time, but I'm going to talk a little bit about building that positive relationship with every single person. You know, it's really interesting when you work from recruitment to retirement. I asked you a few minutes ago, how do you feel about, some of the people that you work with, and maybe you've worked for someone you didn't like. One of the number one reasons people leave is because they don't get along with their supervisor. That role is so integral to the success of any employee. So as you're thinking about it, what kind of relationships do you have with the employees that you work with? Side by side, it's a career development process that we go through. Real quickly, it has many steps. The recruiting process, what kind of perception do you leave when they come for an interview? How many of you are familiar with Glassdoor? Glassdoor is a great website where you can go read about an organization. People who have worked there, do work there, or who have applied and interviewed there will write reviews on what it's like. And it's pretty daunting. My favorite part of it is where they evaluate the CEO and tell you why. They don't hold anything back. It's anonymous, but it does tell you if they've worked there or not, or if they're currently working there. And think about how the impact is, so that recruitment is a very powerful thing. Also think about the next step in there, they're being hired. How do you hire? Do you call them up and say, congratulations? A friend of mine who works at High Point University, he sends a FedEx box of all the gear for the university and said, congratulations, you're part of the team. What do you do to make that employee feel special when they're hired? Their first day, I love this, one of the teams I work with said, we want to make sure they feel welcome. So their desk is all set up with all the supplies. There's a little note on there that has the password and all the details that they need to know. But my favorite is when they turn on the computer, a video plays. Because a lot of the teams in sports come from other teams. So if you're hired from the Denver Nuggets to go to another team, they send a little flip video camera to the Nuggets and they say, hey, your buddy just got a job with us. Would you say good luck? Pass the video around the department. Make sure that they feel really good about it. So that will play the first day they come into the job. Pretty cool, huh? That shows that the company really is excited about having them. And of course, the videos are pretty funny too. Makes a big difference. When you're onboarding, do you tell them all about the organization? Yesterday, we heard somebody talking about, hey, we just threw you the keys. And the other guy goes, you got keys? What do you do? How do you make them feel special that first day? How do you really go out of your way to tell them about the history, tell them about the organization, maybe include that vision, and really make sure that you have all those details in the process? Then how do you develop them? I love it when somebody has an intimate relationship close enough with the person who they work with that they can say, so what's your next job? What do you want to do next? What are you trying to aspire to? And that dialogue helps a person know that, wow, they really care about me, and I really want to make a big difference here, so we can do that together. And it's a team effort. It's that communication. And then finally, how do you reward? That's going to be one of my last points we talk about today. I'll save that till then. I also want to make sure that you get some good advice here, and I wasn't able to go so long in the information, so I created a bonus handout for you. So when you complete that evaluation form that's on your table there, I will make sure that you get a copy of this article that you can take back. This article is all about leadership, training, and making sure that you've got the employees developed in the right way, succession planning, and making sure that you're recruiting in a right fashion. It's a resource I wanted to make sure that you got today. When you complete your evaluation and turn it in, I'll make sure and give you one. Also, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to understand the key focus of this program. Your employees will treat your customers like you treat your employees. I remember standing in Reno at a big conference, and everybody's sitting around, and I had all these general managers in the room, and I said, hey, your staff's going to treat your customers like you treat them. And they went, oh. Note to self. How you doing on that? Go ahead and give yourself an evaluation on that. Make sure that you're really working on that and make sure it's a priority for you. That's star number 4. Let's move on into star number 5. Star number 5, we're getting close to the home stretch here. And star number 5, clarify your expectations. If I were to call one of the employees that you work with, either you supervise or you work side by side with, and say, what are the 3 most important things to you? What would they say? Sometimes we have a tendency to think about it in our head so heavily that we don't really say it out loud. But do the staff that you work with and depend on every day, do they know what you expect of them? I'm going to ask you for your 3 words in just a minute. I'll give you a chance to think about it, though. I want to make sure that we have a little thinking time here on this afternoon. I'm going to share my 3 words, too. It took a while to figure out what they were, and you feel free to borrow them. They're not universal, but for me, customer service, teamwork, and initiative are the key words. If all my focus is around that and my staff knows that, then they can perform. But if I don't tell them, how can I expect them to do what I'm wanting them to do? The key thing about customer service, teamwork, and initiative is we hire that way. We hire based on what I'm looking for. The questions are around that. Secondly, we look for all of the people who are in the interview process. We interview them and we check references, and if they have those 3 qualities, we call them up and say, congratulations. We're so excited to have you on board because you showed in your interview customer service, teamwork, and initiative, and we know it's going to be great. Welcome aboard. And guess what the training program is when they get there? Customer service, teamwork, and initiative. Those 3 words frame everything. Their promotions, when they get a raise, we tell them the customer service, teamwork, and initiative. We instill that on a daily basis. How do you instill what's important to you? How do you clarify your expectations to make sure you have those elements? What are your 3 words? I have more chocolate. Anybody? Give me one. Shout one out. Nobody? They're a pretty shy group, Tim. I think they're full. I'm pretty sure they're full right now. We'll check with you later, maybe over a drink. Would that work? Okay, that works. Give yourself a score on clarify your expectations. Does your staff know? And call them up and ask them. See what they say. Does it match what you're thinking? Creating one team. Here's another basketball example for you, too. Creating one team was very special to me because I really got to know all the folks at the San Antonio Spurs quite well. I forgot to wear my ring today, but I do have a championship ring from them, and it's amazing, but it's kind of big. I like that. First thing that happened when we went there, they talked about how frustrated they were with their food and beverage, their security, their parking, all of their contracted partners. And they weren't performing up to their level, and they had to figure out what to do. And Ruby, can you help us? And I said, well, let's start with first, let's not call them contracted partners. How about if we just call them partners? And how about inviting them to all the program and making them feel like they're part of it? That would make a big difference. That was step 1. As we went through the process, we realized that they had never been included in things, and they had never had any expectations clarified. So in that process, they couldn't really perform because they really didn't know what we were wanting. But we weren't happy with them. Interesting. Creating that one team is creating an atmosphere where everybody feels involved. Everybody feels good about it. Making sure that they all have that process. One of the ways we do that is we create a fan experience council. How many of you have a customer service council within your organization? Anybody here? Oh, it's a beautiful thing. That customer service council, one person from each department once a month sits down and talks about what's going well, what's going not so well, and what can we all do about it together that gets everybody together in the camaraderie. One of the things we do with the customer service council or fan experience council is we create mantras. The mantra represents how they're going to serve their customer. Very simple little slogans. These were kind of fun. I did training for the World Series champion, the Royals, and they said, take pride in treating our guests like royalty. They created these. I didn't. I have a process I take them through, but they are the ones that created these. The next one, the Tampa Bay Lightning, electrifying experiences ignited by world-class service. Cool. Matches the brand, and it gets people fired up. Mr. Vinnick really liked that one. Broward Center for the Performing Arts, one of my favorites to work with because it's all about the theater. I borrowed Richard's accent for that. I didn't do very well on it, but I tried. In all we do, the star is you. Brilliant. And they came up with it. That's another part of this process is when they get involved, then they know they've got the ownership into it. And finally, the Spurs. First day we sat down with them, they said, we got to be different here. This is a different city, we only have one sports team at that time, or one professional sports team. And it's a passion to treat everyone like family and to create memories. So the family acronym is how we did all of the training and all of their reinforcement. So each one of these created that, wow, we are one team. We're all in this together. And everybody's performing side by side to make it a great place. San Antonio Spurs do a great job and probably the best compliment I've ever got. 2 years I worked with them to build up their customer experience, to turn all of their customers into fans. And about 2 years after that, I went back and I interviewed Rick Pitch and I said, so Rick, tell me, what is it that you're most proud of? You've got these championships, you've got 4 franchises now in the building, and you've got all these things that you've accomplished as a CPA, he's a GM. Oh, it just blew me away. And this is what he said. He says, Ruby, I'm so proud of the fact that we created a place where everybody loves to come to work, they love their job, and they love working here. And you helped us do that. Come on, a little moment for me. That was kind of fun. It really made my day. It was pretty special. They did that. They created that culture that everybody is turning into a fan. So how are you doing on the team thing? You got them going on? Are you doing the kumbaya meetings in the morning? Maybe not, I know. Some of the girls are going, yeah, we do, but the guys don't like it. I understand that. You see, this is all about making that big difference and making sure that everybody is reinforced for what they do. So finally, let's talk about reward and recognition. And that means that you have to recognize your customers as well. So what steps are you taking to do that? What elements are you working towards to make sure that they feel the love? How many of you have an employee of the month or employee of the year? Let me tell you, that rewards one person. How about if you set the standards for everybody in the organization, and when they achieve that, that's when they get the recognition. And you have a special club. With the Tampa Bay Lightning, what we did is we had these standards that we elevated, and then we do secret shops and give them scores, and as soon as they got 100% shop, they got a special honor. They were introduced on the ice, and most importantly, when they come into that back of house door, this is what happened every single event. See, 2,500 people come through that back door, and on the door it has the mission statement, and then inside that door there's a button. And it said, if you have achieved 100%, ring the buzzer. And you know the hockey buzzer, wah, and the light that goes around. Every single employee that's got 100%, they get to do that when they walk in the building. Now they may be walking beside somebody who can't do it, but it's just a daily reminder when they come into the building that this is what we want them to do. Reinforcing and rewarding, making sure that everyone is recognized. Recognition isn't that hard. It's really about making sure that you recognize the staff and what they do. Let me ask a question. How many of you walk through your organization, your dealership, and chat with the other employees? Okay? Some of you. And how many of you see somebody who's in the office, they walk out and they come back, but they never really say hi to anybody, they don't connect? Anybody have one of those? I have a sports team, which will remain anonymous, and let's pretend it's in Miami. There's a couple of them to choose from down there. I was doing training down there, and 7 employees came to me and they said, okay, here's the deal. Please talk to our CEO. Every day he walks through the building and he's like, he never says anything to the staff, and the staff are just like, they hate him because he never engages with them. And of course, that's why I get the big bucks. I get to talk to the CEO and tell him this. But I decided to give him a little bit of a challenge. So I said, Joe, let me ask you a question. When you walk, do you walk through the building? He goes, oh yeah, every day. I said, well, what do you do when you're walking through the building, going from one side to the other? And he says, oh, I've got so much on my mind. I'm just focused on what I need to do next. I said, that's interesting. Have you ever thought about, like, if you're at a game and you're walking through, have you ever thought about just stopping and pausing and and acknowledging the people and saying, how you doing today? And maybe they have name tags on. You can cheat and call them by name. And he goes, no. I said, would you do me a big favor and just try it the next event? He did it. I received 5 phone calls and 2 emails that said, what did you do to him? He just didn't know the negative perception he was leaving. Every single day, your interactions with your colleagues is going to make a difference or not. And how you say thank you, man, that's a biggie. You know, and Tim, I know I'm going to have some feedback over here, so I'm going to have you stand up for just a second. Because if I were going to say thank you to Tim, I could just walk by him, you know. Let's just stand right here for a second. I could just walk by and say, hey, thanks, Tim. I really appreciate you inviting me to be here today. But that wouldn't be very engaging, would it? No, but to stop, plant my feet, look him in the eye, call him by name and say, Tim, you do an amazing job here. You make such a difference in so many lives. Thank you for what you do. That's a thank you. The other one was a drive-by. We don't want any drive-bys. Take the time to acknowledge, and let's have a little round of applause for our friend here who does such a nice job. Kind of mean to drink a glass of water in front of you, huh? Go ahead and recognize how you do on that last point, number 7. As we wrap up, I want to make sure you've got a score. And go ahead and total up all of your points and see how you did. The score is on there, so you have an idea of how you're rating and what steps you can take to get better. That's what this is all about, is coming, learning, and assessing, and then going back and sharing some of those pieces of information. So please make sure that you turn in your evaluation form so I can give you that form. I'll be hanging in the back when we finish today. And finally, I want to ask you about what you're going to do, because remember, there is a science to 7-star service, and it's all about inviting your staff to be part of it. When you do that, they create the reputation, they create all of the good things that are out there about your company. And I also need to remind you about your glasses. Which ones you're going to choose? Which ones are you going to look through on a daily basis? You know, one of the ladies said I was from the NRA, not the NSA, and she thought I was packing. So I thought I would bring a little package, but don't get worried, because it's just my glasses case. Because some days I want to look at things a little bit differently. Some days there are different situations that you need to look through a different pair of glasses, and there are some days that you might even want to give your staff a new pair of glasses to look through too. I hope you enjoyed 7-star service. I certainly enjoyed being here. It was my pleasure, and I have 30 seconds left because I promised I would be under 40. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Ruby. Fantastic job. You're amazing. We do appreciate it tremendously. And the best part is she left the bag of chocolate. Yes! I win every time. Yeah. Tim, our CDO, handle this. Chief Candy Distribution Officer. Some amazing stuff, great takeaways. I love the idea of creating a customer service council. How are you turning your customers into fans? And the language thing. They're not season ticket holders, they're members. They're not contracted partners, they're just partners. An action item could simply be just examine the language that you're using in your stores. And is that language creating the impression and what you want to see?